All right. So meanwhile, more fallout from Kanye West. So yesterday, as we mentioned, Kanye West was ripped into by Maxine Waters, who called him ignorant. Now, I don't think that Kanye West is any great shakes at politics. I think that Kanye West doesn't know very much about politics. The one thing that I think Kanye has done that is very important is he has said that people should think for themselves and people should, occasionally think outside the box. I think that's a good thing. But, Kanye, I warned you about this before. Kanye is not a conservative thought leader. There's this tendency on the right, and it's really troubling, that anytime a celebrity says anything you like, suddenly this person becomes capable of being president. There was this guy named Donald Trump. You may remember him. And he used to say out-of-the-box things on a fairly regular basis. And then people deemed him a thought leader, and now he's the president of the United States. And that's worked out pretty well in terms of conservative ideas. But if we apply that same logic to every celebrity, say Kid Rock, I don't think it's going to work out quite as well, right? Maybe you got lucky with Trump's policies, but I don't know that you'd get quite as lucky with celebrities who just mouth the occasional anti-leftist talking points. Now, Kanye West has become close with Candace Owens, who is, of course, a black conservative. He's become close with Charlie Kirk. The other day, he was quoting Thomas Sowell on his Twitter feed. All this is good. Kanye should educate himself about all of these issues. But educating yourself, I spend my life speaking on college campuses, and there is a dueling tendency among young conservatives. Okay, tendency number one is, I want to get educated. I want to know my stuff. I want to read books. I want to know more. I want to have the information at my fingertips so I can actually argue my points cogently. And then there is the other tendency on the right, particularly among young conservatives, and that is I want to own the libs. But I want to own the libs. And the way I'm going to own the libs is by taking them off. Anything that ticks them off is owning the libs. So I'll do anything stupid in order to own the libs. Okay, this does not own the libs. I'm just telling you, being dumb does not own the libs. Okay, if you want to own liberals, if you want to own the left, you actually have to look at their arguments. You have to determine why their arguments are wrong, and then you have to dismantle their arguments, and that takes a few facts. Otherwise, you end up in situations like this. So yesterday, Kanye was at TMZ with Candace Owens, and things went wildly wrong when the topic of slavery came up. A black employee over at TMZ confronted Kanye and started asking him about Donald Trump, and then he invoked slavery. Now, Kanye's response should have been, listen, slavery was an awful evil, but what does that have to do with Donald Trump? Slavery is an awful evil, promulgated by the Democratic Party, and then pushed into law and then after the end of slavery, Jim Crow was codified into law by a bunch of Democrats. And the Republican Party has stood for individualism since its inception, and it should continue to stand for individualism now. Right? If that would be the conservative defense against, sort of random charges of slavery, but that's not what Kanye does here, because I'm not sure that Kanye knows enough to actually combat the charges that are aimed at him. Do I think it'll affect Kanye in any real way? Probably not, but this isn't very good. Here was Kanye yesterday talking about slavery at TMZ.
You hear about slavery for 400 years. For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race, that we're the human race.
Okay, so I'm not sure what point he's trying to make here. If he wants to say that a lot of black Americans are living inside in a self-imposed ideological prison, okay, maybe, and he's saying that's true for a lot of other racial groups. I think that's probably true as well. But what that has to do with slavery is beyond me. When he says 400 years, that sounds like a choice. There are people like my quasi-friend, Michael Knowles, who've been arguing that what Kanye is saying is that slavery began in the United States in 1619. It ended in 1865. So if you've gone 200 years beyond that, then obviously you're not talking about slavery anymore. You're talking about mental imprisonment. I don't think that's what Kanye is saying here. I think that Kanye is saying something different, and he made that pretty clear on his Twitter feed. Okay, what he's actually saying here is that if you were in slavery for a very long period of time, you did not do so without bowing your neck to the yoke, which is, I think, a really messed up argument. Okay, people who were forcibly transported across the ocean into slavery for 400 years, and the transatlantic slave trade did last for 400 years. The American slave trade lasted, from the inception of America until 1865. The transatlantic slave trade began in the 15th century and lasted all the way into the 19th century. So that 400-year period is actually not including the stuff after 1865. In any case, what Kanye is saying here doesn't do any great service. Do I think Kanye has ill intent? No. Do I think he knows what he's talking about? Not really. And I think that it would be much better if Kanye were to get educated before speaking out. This is the tendency on the part of the right. We have spokespeople, some of them somewhat intelligent, some of them very attractive physically. if you don't do the reading, you shouldn't be doing the talking. If you haven't thought about an issue, you shouldn't be talking about the issue. And you shouldn't be a spokesperson. So again, Kanye can say whatever he wants. Right? But, and I think what Kanye should really stick to, if I were Kanye, what I would be doing today is I'd be starting Kanye Con, right? I would actually have like a convention event where I have a bunch of people from all over the aisle talk to each other. And I would say, I'm trying to open up gates. I'm trying to make sure that everyone talks to one another. That Kanye would be great at. But making him a spokesperson on all of these issues that he doesn't know much about, it's a mistake for conservatives. I think it's a mistake generally to do this with people who don't know what they are talking about. And Kanye apparently is one of those people. Okay, so...